Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest narration of the web series, The Human from a Dungeon. If you're new to the series, there is a playlist listed down below in the description, and as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 12. Imlaw Tula, Adventurer Level NA, Gnome Kurkanian. Day 3. I'm still tapped in the tree. The food and water I had are gone, and these damned rats are still waiting for me to come down. They've been taking ships, some sleeping during the day and the rest sleeping at night. Every now and again they try to climb up after me, but a few well-placed kicks and pokes with my dagger thwart their efforts. I am tired, thirsty, and my arse is extremely sore due to the bark of this tree. They're still eating my pack animals, so it's unlikely I'll be able to outlast them. Eventually, I will fall from my perch. A miserable existence fated to meet a miserable end, eaten by rats. If you find this, please avenge me. Make sure no one else shares my fate. Imlaw Tula. I closed the journal and put my pencil away. What an unfortunate thing to have to use a brand new journal for. I glared at the giant rats below me, and their beady red eyes glared right back. From up here, they looked like normal size, but in reality, they were only slightly smaller than myself. I'm tall for a gnome, 3 foot 6 inches in fact, and I shuddered to think what could have happened if I had been even an inch shorter. My wagon and pack animals were still in view. The rats had sprung their ambush and killed both my harnesses before they could react. They had covered themselves in sand along the trail, and either hadn't noticed me or decided that the beasts of burden were the best targets. This and some quick thinking gave me barely enough time to scale this tree before I shuddered. The damage to the wagon was irreparable. Those teeth and claws had made short work of the wooden sides and cover. The wagon had cost me 50 silver, more than both the harnesses combined. The rats had broken it like a cask, trying to get to the sweetmeats within. A small shipment for a certain orc chef in Nuluva. I looked down at the 5 rats that were currently patrolling the base of the tree. "Thank you!" I shouted to the vermin. They chittered back at me. I normally would have hired an adventurer escort, but business had taken a rotten turn as of late. My beefery had caught fire, and I ended up having to pay to have it rebuilt, as well as compensate for the workers who were injured. I had spent half my remaining capital to fulfill this order. The freshly smelted metals that the Nuluvan Adventurers Guild branch had ordered are fine, but I no longer have a way to transport them. I chuckled at my optimism, as if I had a need for transporting them now. I am going to die. Exposure, starvation, or dehydration. It was a toss-up, which would claim me first. I only hoped that I wouldn't weaken to the point of falling out the tree before my untimely demise. Getting eaten to death promises to be a painful way to perish. I looked at the corpses of my harnesses, Hulk and Noble. They'd been with me for most of their lives. Never again would Hulk softly chomp my arm, nor Noble softly blow my hair as I geared them up. They were rambunctious, like my own children. It's going to be hard for Talina to take care of them without me. I can only hope that my life insurance will let them live comfortably. The house is paid off, and I still have got enough capital to feed them for the months it'll take before it kicks in. If another trader uses this route and finds my remains, it'll kick in even faster. Some movement in the corner of my eye caught my attention. A trio of people, 2 orcs and an elf, were walking the path. Rescue? A further tragedy? I weakly stood up and started waving my arms. "Rats! Beware! Giant rats on the road!" I screamed. The 3 stopped and looked at me. They were still too far away to make out their expressions, and I kept waving and shouting. I screamed at them to run and get help. They faced each other for a moment and then started jogging over. Adventurers? I didn't dare to hope. Perhaps they are simply foolish vagabonds who can't hear me properly and are about to join Hulk and Noble wherever the dead things go. My voice weakened to the point of a whisper as they drew closer and closer. I looked at the rats, and my stomach fell as they turned to greet the trio. My heart skipped a beat when a loud bang rang out. The rat I had been staring at was bisected, and wind rushed through my tree. I grabbed the trunk to keep from falling and watched 2 of the trio pull weapons from under their capes, an axe and a sword. I almost jumped for joy. I am rescued. Of the 2 melee fighters, the orc was definitely more skilled. I watched in awe as he fluidly carved through his opponents. The second orc was obviously a sorcerer, casting spells at rats who were trying to flank the fighters. The spells were plenty powerful, too. The elf wasn't bad with its blade, but then something happened that made my jaw drop open. A rat charged the elf, and it cast a fireball that instantly fried the damn thing. A magic user with a blade. Well, wonders never cease. My celebration was short-lived, though. More and more giant rats joined the fray. I became 15, then 30. I watched in anticipation as the adventurers kept fighting and fighting. The end goal of the rats seemed to be to wear them down enough to land a killing blow. When one considers the casualties, it is a disgusting tactic. But vermin do not seem to care about morality, just meat. But the adventurers didn't seem to get tired. If anything, they were getting better at working as a team. The sorcerer was launching spells from both his hands, and the spell sword was using his magic and weapon simultaneously. The orc with an axe was using it like a scalpel, carving just enough of each rat's flesh to be fatal, without expending unnecessary effort. The change in the demeanor was impressively seamless. Before I knew it, 50 rats lay dead at the feet of my rescuers. I clambered down the tree and approached them, being careful not to step on any of the viscera that was strewn across the ground. The orc was wiping down his axe. The elf was holding his bloody blade, looking a bit lost. I pulled a rag out of my tunic and offered it to him with a grin. It wasn't until we got close to each other that I noticed something was wrong. His eyes were blue, but lacked the ethereal glisten that an elf's would have, and his ears were rounded. He returned my grin, and I noticed that the flat teeth where one could see in an elf's mouth were flanked with sharp ones. I carefully maintained my grin, even though terror gripped my heart. It isn't right to be afraid of one's rescuers, but I couldn't help it. This thing was an unfamiliar mer, and had demonstrated that it was very proficient in combat. "Thank you," it said. "You're welcome," I stammered through my now false grin. "Thank you. I thought I was a goner." "You look nervous," the sorcerer said with a knowing smile. "Never seen a human before?" "Of course he hasn't," the one with the axe replied. "You think a trader's gonna have seen more than the entire village of adventurers?" "A human?" I asked. "Introductions, then. I am Jukka Galkin. This is my brother Nash," the sorcerer began, gesturing to the orc with a knack. "And this is Nicodemus Smith, the newest adopted member of the clan Alta. He is a human." "Oh, I see. Well, I'm Imlaw Tula of the Tula Transportation Company. Pleasure to meet you, truly. I don't wish to be a burden, but I don't suppose you have food and drink?" I asked, slumping to the ground as my fatigue caught up with me. "We have drink and some yipples. We'll have to replace what you eat on our way back, though. Here, eat your fill while we gather the hides," Nash said, tossing a sack and a water bag to me. "Is that your wagon?" "Thank you so much. And yes, it is, but the rats got to it," I explained as I gulped down the water gratefully. "I'll have a look at it since I'm not great at bending over," Yulk said. "Okay, let's get to work, Nick," Nash commanded. "I counted 40. "I counted 52, the human replied. The axe-wielding orc looked down at the human for a moment, and then at the corpses of the giant rat. He mumbled to himself for a while, and then scoffed. 45! We're both wrong, he grumbled. "Whatever, let's get skinning." Nick watched Nash closely as he took the pelt from the first giant rat, and then began to copy what he'd seen. What an interesting creature, and assumed that he was a young elf due to his height and skin tone. Elves usually get to be around 6.5 feet tall. As I studied him closer, I saw more and more differences, though. He had hair on his arms and stubble growing out of his face, like a freakishly tall dwarf who had shaved himself recently. There were tales of such practices on the South Continent. Rumor has it that that's because of the heat. Maybe the southern dwarves call themselves humans. No, that doesn't explain the height and the teeth. I munched on yipples while the others carved the rats up. I am not typically a fan of fruits, but these were the most delicious yipples I've had in my entire life. After I filled my belly and rested for a bit, I got to work helping Nick and Nash gather the pelts. "How did there get to be so many?" Nick asked. "They breed faster. This is probably only about a few generations worth," I answered. "Yep, they start out sneaky and timid, but the more of them there are, the more desperate they get for food. Then that's when they get dangerous," Nash added. "Why didn't they try to run away, though?" Right, Frenchie. It's what separates monsters from animals. If you get attacked by a pack of wolves, you can survive if you kill enough of them. The rest will run away. If you get attacked by a pack of dire wolves, well, you're going to have to kill all of them to survive. Monsters don't run, Nash said. Well, if you're quick enough, you can run away, I said with a laugh. More scamper up a tree and hope for some adventurers to come along. We all chuckled, and silence fell as the enormity of our task drew our attention. It was messy work, too, and once we were done, York approached us. How's the wagon? Nash asked. It'd be nice to not have to carry 50 pounds back to the village. Right, I thought that we were going to be dealing with a dozen max, York chuckled. Anyway, the axles, sides, and roofs are all shot, but the wheels and the bed are fine. If we can get the wheels off the axles and flip it, I can probably fix it with mend. Don't know how we're going to secure our cargo and pull it, though. Nick and I can be the beast of burden, you and, Nash trailed off, looking at me. Imla Tula, I replied. Right, you and Imla Tula can keep her stuff from falling off, or let us know when it does so that we don't leave it in the dust. He finished. I don't suppose you'd be able to pull the original cargo as well, I tentatively asked. It's about 100 pounds of metals for the Adventurers Guild. Shouldn't be a problem. Gonna have to make a stop for the yipples, though. Nick and I will rest while the two of you grab some more. And so it went. We managed to take the wheels off the wagon and get it flipped over, and Yook was able to repair the axles with a spell. We fixed the wheels back onto the wagon and loaded everything back up. I said a quiet goodbye to Hulk and Noble while Nick and Nash used what was left of the harnesses to start pulling the wagon. As I began to walk next to the wagon, I struggled to fight back tears of joy. I survived. End of chapter. I would just like to thank the T5 supporters: Bushmaster 117, Casper Arnholtz, Dragzoon W.R.E, Elijah Silvercross, Gray, Jon Carrington, and Sevaren Serberous. Thank you very much.